Thank you, Chrissy. Well, actually, just 3 weeks ago, Koba acquired a uranium project in South Australia. So we have moved since recently, Chrissy was aware of, previously lithium in North America. But now we're focused on the Uranbah uranium project in South Australia. It's the premier uranium district in Australia. This is a photo I took from my camp where I stayed last week. That's the Honeymoon mine in the distance there. You can just see the lights on. So that's Boss Energy's operation that they've just recommenced recently, and they're getting ready to produce their first barrel of yellowcake. Our timing has been very good for uranium. Obviously uranium's run up to over $100 a pound, the first time since 2007 that uranium's reached that kind of heights. And we've been working on this project since about October, so we're slightly ahead of the curve, and we're able to get that transaction completed in January. And now we're looking forward to moving forward and aggressively exploring this project. So just a little quick summary on Koba. So on completion of this transaction, which is subject to shareholder approval later in March, we'll have 158 million shares on issue and market cap at 26 mil, and that'll with $6 million in the bank, we're in a position where we can aggressively explore this project. You can see here our share price performed pretty well on the announcement. We were trading at 8 cents and doubled pretty much overnight on the acquisition. So where are we? So we're in South Australia, and we've picked up 5,100 square kilometres of ground. So it's an enormous project. It's actually 120 kilometres from the top end to the bottom end. That's as far as Yanchep to Mandurah. So it's an enormous project, a lot of prospectivity. In addition, we have over 250 kilometres of paleo channels, which is really, really exciting. That's where the uranium's hosted, and there's a lot of uranium and paleo channels in the district, which is what I'll talk about. So Boss Energy is our nearest neighbour. As I said, they're in production. They have over 70 million pounds of uranium in resources, 620 ppm. The Honeymoon mine itself is just 17 kilometres from our property, and it has a resource of over 36 million pounds. And even closer, their satellite deposit, the Jason deposit, it's a 10 million pound resource at 790 ppm uranium, and that's just sitting 4 kilometres from our Mount John prospect. So it's an established uranium district. We're in a permitting-friendly environment. The South Australian government are very excited to have uranium production there, and they're shipping yellowcake out of the Port of Adelaide. The 3 producing mines in Australia are all located in South Australia. One of the other operations is Heathgate. Heathgate are a private company, so you do not hear a lot about Heathgate, but they have 4 deposits, over 165 million pounds at a grade of over 2,500 ppm. So an outstanding deposit. And in fact, Beverley's been producing for 20 years now, continuous operation for 20 years, and it's produced over 40 million pounds of uranium in that 20 years. So it's a truly world significant uranium deposit. And both Honeymoon and the Beverley operation are all ISR operations. So there's no actual mining, no digging up the ore. You drill holes and you circulate fluid through the ground and recover the uranium that way. A very upscalable kind of mining method. So the first 3 projects that I'm going to talk a little bit about today are the Oban deposit in the centre there, the Uranbah North prospect and the Mount John prospect. So this is the Oban deposit. It's the most advanced deposit on our property to date. It has a JORC 2004 compliant resource of 260 ppm and 4.6 million pounds. No work has been done at this project since 2012, so it's still a 2004 compliant resource. But there's an excellent opportunity here to discover additional high-grade zones. Some of the significant hits within this resource include 7.5 metres at 831 ppm, 4.5 metres at 964 ppm. So there's some really high-grade components, and we've got a team now working on this deposit, trying to unravel the high grade and the thicker zones and see if we can piece together a geological model and really get to understand this deposit and locate that thick high grade mineralisation. There's significant potential to expand upon this resource as well. The last bit of work that the previous operator did was drilling a series of monitoring wells, and the monitoring wells here are shown in white, and the monitoring wells were supposed to be drilled outside the resource zone. But when they probed these holes, they identified significant mineralisation in these holes. 1.3 metres at 827 ppm in a hole that ended in mineralisation. Supposed to be a water monitoring well and outside the resource. So there's a lot of scope to upgrade this resource with a true understanding of how the uranium is behaving. There's also opportunity to expand beyond Oban. Oban's the most advanced deposit, but it sits on a 7-kilometre long trend. And with that trend, there's other significant mineralisation, particularly at the Berber deposit, 1 metre at 860 ppm and 0.5 at 1200 ppm. So there's a lot of smoke in this area. It's a target-rich environment, and we've got 5,100 square kilometres to explore, and there's smoke like this all throughout. So we're going to commence drilling, looking to expand upon this resource, looking to discover additional deposits that aren't known, and we think this 7-kilometre long trend at a barn is a perfect spot to start. There's numerous drill holes along the 7-kilometre trend containing gamma radiation signals of up to 20 times background. Historic drilling in the 70s and 80s has identified some of these zones, and they've never been followed up. 20 times background equates somewhere in the order of 100 ppm, 150 ppm, so it's quite significant mineralisation that has got room to expand. There's also 30-metre intervals of sand in these zones, and the sand's really, really important because that's the host of the uranium, and as long as you get some reducing material in that area, that's where you get your uranium. So this is our secondary project, Mount John. So we're currently working up a drill program for Mount John as well. What I really like about this project is its proximity to Jason and 50 million pounds of uranium as well. So it's an extension of the same geology that hosts both Honeymoon and the Jason deposit, and also the Saffron deposit. So there's over 50 million pounds within about 20 kilometres located within this paleo channel. As you can see here, it's been drilled a little bit. Scale is really tricky on this project. You look at this, you think it's got a bit of drilling on it, but this particular image is 20 kilometres from one side to the other, and some of the drill spacings in the centre of this, wrong button. Some of the drill spacings in here, they're 400 metre spaced drill holes. The Oban deposit, the Honeymoon deposit itself is only 800 metres by 400 metres, so 400 metre spacing is quite significant, and room to tighten this up and make significant discoveries at Mount John as well. So there's numerous prospects to explore. As I said, there's 5,100 square kilometres and 250 kilometres of paleo channels. Another project I really like is the Yarraramba North prospect, drilled by 200 metre spacings, significant intercept of 2 metres at 530 ppm. They followed up with some holes 100 metres apart, intersected another 100 ppm, and it's never been followed up since then. So 200 metre spacing is very, very coarse when you consider how these uranium deposits behave. As I said, the Honeymoon itself is only 800 metres by 400 metres, so there's certainly ample room to be able to discover another Honeymoon within this project. And as an exploration geologist myself, I've spent 10 years working in uranium in the USA on very, very similar style deposits. And I'm going to be aggressively exploring this. We're cashed up, $6 million. Permitting process is underway, and we'll be aggressively exploring for exploration as soon as we can get on the ground. Permits have been lodged as we speak. So as I said, this is the drilling at the Oban resource deposit. We're planning to drill about 10,000 metres in our first drill program, which will focus at a barn and also the Mount John deposit. We're also conducting a detailed technical review at the moment to generate future targets. There's so many targets out here, it's unbelievable, and we're developing a pipeline of projects to be drilled later in this year and in the future. So the previous operator out here was Kernamona Energy. They had it from 2005 to 2012. They did about 100,000 metres of drilling, 1,000 holes. But during that time, they were able to achieve a market cap of $120 million during the previous uranium price rise. So we've acquired an excellent team. We've got an experienced uranium geologist, myself with 10 years experience in uranium, and basically we're looking to get out on the ground and be an aggressive explorer. Thanks, Chris.